Hi, thanks very much for joining us today to learn more about our frameless system. My name is Matt, I'm with Cover Glass USA, and as you know, we manufacture and we install our frameless sliding glass door system. From the comfort of your home or wherever you're watching from, I want to say thank you and please enjoy the presentation on our system. In order for us to install our system at Cover Glass, we do need to inherit from the contractor, the framer, the clean rough opening with the header and the sides exposed. In some cases as well, we may require a small cut into the floor to allow our bottom track to be recessed down so there's nothing to step or to trip over. But essentially we need to inherit a clean rectangle, and then our crews will come in and install our system within that opening. We'll do the Protecto wrap, the bituathane, we'll do sealant across the entire opening, we'll use our shims to make sure everything is perfectly level. The bottom track will get sealed in a bed of Sikaflex and silicone, and we will make sure that everything is completely level all the way around so that your panels run smoothly every time within the track. At Cover Glass, whether you're going with a concrete flooring or you have a wood flooring, subfloor or foundation, we will require that the contractor, your framer, your waterproofer will install a sheet metal pan. Some examples of the sheet metal pan will have a Z channel, sometimes it will be a U channel, sometimes it will be just a flat piece of sheet metal going across and it coming up the side post as well. We will work with your contractor, your framer, your waterproofer to ensure they understand exactly what we need. So that way when we will install our system on top of that sheet metal pan, and we will seal underneath and around our track with Sikaflex and sealant to make sure that that is completely watertight. In order to operate the system, the very first panel that you will always use to open and close the system will be on one or both of your extreme ends. You do not start the system in the center. You will always start it, as I mentioned, on one or both of the extreme ends. In this particular configuration, we split the system. We have X amount of the panels going towards the right and X amount of the panels going towards the left. In this also configuration, imagine that this is the exterior of the room and we are standing on the interior of the room. We could have designed the system to open towards us, towards the interior, or towards the exterior, on the right-hand side, on the left-hand side, whatever makes the most sense for you on the day-to-day flow in terms of does it make more sense to have the option of somebody entering and exiting on the extreme left-hand side, the right-hand side, coupled with furniture layouts, things like that. Do you have a tendency to want to enter and exit on certain ends? What's going to make the most sense for you as the end user? That's the best way to think about where you want those panels to end up. So as we operate the system, we must open the very first panel. There are different locking mechanisms that can be used on the system. Traditionally, the system will come like this without anything floating on the glass. It's not required to have any hardware on the panel, but we do have different handles, knobs, etc. to choose from should it be more practical for you in your situation. So we have different slide locks, handles, knobs, etc. Once that's unlocked, it will release panel number 1, the opening panel. Once the opening panel is in the 90-degree position, it will lock into position using our magnetized door stops for two reasons. Reason number 1 is so that the panel doesn't over-rotate past a 90-degree, which puts a lot of unnecessary pressure on the interior parts. So it stands at a 90-degree, and also with the magnetized door stop, if it's a gusty day or a windy day, you don't have panels flailing around, they're all locked in position. So once this one is completely open, you're then free to use the rest of the system. As you can see, I've opened up the other remaining panels, and these two panels will magnetize to each other as well. So not only is the first one magnetized, the other ones get magnetized to there, so everything gets locked when it's in the open position. As you notice, each panel operates independently of one another. So say it was a day where maybe it's in during the course of the morning or in the afternoon, and instead of opening up your entire system, you'd like to have a little bit of an air gap or breeze to come through. You don't necessarily want to open the entire system. So because the panels operate independently, you can choose whether you're entertaining and you want to open up the whole system, you want to create those partial air gaps in between, or if you wanted to, you could slide some of the panels down and create an opening in the center, whatever again makes the most sense for you on a day-to-day. And I will also show you different photographs during the course of this video, which will show how the configurations of the system can be done in terms of fully open, partially open, half open, etc. You choose however many you'd like to open and close. All the panels will stack tightly on the side. They take about 1 inch per panel. So in this scenario, we've opened 3 panels. We're gonna lose about 3 inches or so on the end. The rest of my opening is nice and wide. As we're a fully custom company, every single thing we do is cut to the exact size of your opening. So that also translates to the panel sizes. How do we calculate those? So what we do is we take your overall size width, convert it into inches, and then divide going as wide as we can. We go no wider than about 33 inches per panel. Thus, we take your width and we'll divide it going as wide as we can. Aesthetically, we keep all the panels the same size so that when the panels are in the open position, you don't have one that's longer than the others. However, in some cases, people do request that the very first panel that you open would be wider than the rest. We can certainly do that. We can make this panel as wide as 42 inches if you would like. That means that when this panel opens, the rest will be smaller, but some people do prefer to have the first panel wider than the other ones if they're mainly using that to go in and out every day. When it comes to the bottom profile, we always look to have this be completely flush in the floor. So this piece here is the bottom track. It is 1 1/4 inches tall by 1 3/4 inches wide. And we look for this to be recessed down into your floor so there's nothing to step or to trip over. So we will work with your contractor, framer, etc. to make sure that we look at this together so we can ensure that the bottom profile can try to be as tight to the finished floor height as possible. The type of glass that we use on our system is 2 pieces of tempered glass that come together with a lamination, all low E inside of the glass, the coating for reflective properties in terms of energy efficiency. So in terms of the makeup of the glass, 2 pieces. It's not a single sheet of glass, it's 2 pieces that come together with a lamination. So the total thickness is a little over 1/2 inch thick. So from a safety point of view, I'm not doing anything crazy in terms of the overall strength of the glass. The glass itself is rated as safety glass. It's again tempered, laminated. You could take a baseball bat to the glass, you could hit the glass, and all you're doing there is hurting your hand. You can see on this system what I've just finished is opening it fully on both ends. If you wanted to, you can split the system to have X amount to the left, X amount to the right. It does not need to be an even or odd number. It just has to be a certain amount. So in this situation, we have 6 panels. We could have done 3 and 3. We could have done 6 to one side, we could have done 1 and 5, we could have done 4 and 2. It completely depends on whatever you would like at the end of the day. Everything we make is fully custom, so whatever size panels make the most sense, whatever side you want the panels to open on, we can customize it to work best for you and your daily use. As it relates to drainage, cover glass also addresses this as well. So the idea is any water that's going to hit the glass is going to run down. It's sealed in between the glass panels with our weather strip. The bottom track also will be sealed when the panels are in the closed position. So if you were to look down at the profile, you would not be able to see inside. So if you ever were to hose down the system or flush out the inside of that bottom track, we obviously want the water to run to the exterior of the property. So how we address that is in two different ways. Way number one is if the exterior floor is going to be lower than the inside floor and the track would be exposed, we will simply drill weep holes and anything that gets in this track would naturally flow to the exterior. This is what's most common on traditional doors, windows, etc. We can do the same concept only if this floor is going to be lower than the track. If your floor is going to be the same height as the inside, so you would be covering up those weep holes, we would then need to use a different method of drainage. The method we would use in that scenario would be with PEX pipes. PEX pipes is the same type of piping that gets run through homes and offices in terms of hot and cold water. We use the same type of material. It's very bendable, durable, flexible, comes in 1/2 inch in diameter, and we would fasten that either to the underside of the track, to the face of the track, or the sides of the track. When we go on the underside, there are some options. We could come down, we could 90 it, we can 45. If we come out the face, we could do an elbow going down. We can get very integral with how we want to do the drainage depending on what the scenario brings up. Every job again is different. However, it is important to know that we will work with your contractor to make sure that that drainage is addressed, whether it's as simple as a weep hole or something a bit more challenging in terms of running actual drainage pipes. A lot of customers ask us for our guidance, specifically when it relates to which way should the panels open and stack. We always want to orientate ourselves inside the home facing outside. And we always look at it from a few different areas. Number one, what are you as the end user currently most comfortable doing? Do you currently have a tendency to enter and exit on the right or on the left? What makes the most sense for you today? Coupled with, you need to take a look at, is there going to be furniture in the way? If I have the panel open outside on the right, is this going to be dead space for me? If I have the panels open outside on the left, do I have a dead space on that side? Where is my furniture layout going to be? What makes the most sense and is the most less obtrusive when the system is open and my daily flow? When I'm entertaining, if I have family and friends over, if I have a pool or anything outside, if the panels are here, is that going to inhibit a walkway? If the panels are here, is that going to be a little better for me? Those are the things to think about in terms of where you want those panels to end up and stack. And one key thing as well is it's not only the consideration of when the panels stack at a 90 degree, but you must also take into account the actual swing of the panel when it opens. So you need to make sure that the space would also be there so that the panel can open and stack as well. So you really just want to take a think about it, take a step back, say on my day-to-day activities, what's going to work the best for me and my family, and then you pull the trigger that way. As we do all of our own installation here at Cover Glass, It is in a two-phase process. After the contractor has created the rough opening for us to now install our system within that, we will come out, and the first phase is installing the perimeter of the system. What that entails is we will do Protecto wrap and weatherproofing around the system, meaning we will do it on the vertical side posts, the underside of the header, the vertical left post as well. The bottom track we will seal in a bed of Sikaflex, which is a waterproofing material, and sealants that we use as well. We will also fill in with some foaming around the system too. We will always use our shimming to make sure that the opening is perfectly level and straight. And this installation of the tracks and the side jams will take approximately 1 business day, depending on the overall volume of the project. That exact same day that we've installed the tracks, we will then take exact laser measurements for the glass sizes. So now we will be waiting for the glass, and the glass will be ready within about 7 to 12 business days after we've installed the tracks. So during that time, between the tracks being installed and the glass being installed, your contractor, framer, finish work can all be completed around the perimeter of the system. What I mean by that is if there's any drywall work that needs to be done, if there's any flooring that needs to be done, if there's any stucco that needs to be done, that can all be finished while the glass is not installed. So that way other trades working around the system do not scratch the glass or nothing gets damaged in any way. So we always work with the contractor on their timing to make sure that as soon as that opening has been created, our crews can come right behind to install the tracks and side jams. And as we're waiting for the glass, the contractor doesn't need to be held up and continue finish work on their side. So a lot of customers will say, wait a minute, am I gonna be left with a big hole in my house? The answer is no. Either with cover glass or through your contractor, we will work together to make sure that that is boarded up, either with plywood, or we would use visqueen, which is a thick plastic material, depending on whatever you prefer. From an architect standpoint, from an engineer standpoint, contractors, etc., our system is what's referred to as a top-hung system. That is done by design, meaning that our system takes all the weight from the underside of the header. The bottom track within our profile is purely just a wheel guide, essentially advising the panels which way to run within the track. Everything is supported by the top. We want to make sure that none of the load is pushing on the bottom. We don't want to have any issues with corrosion, saltwater air. This glass is heavy. We don't want to have that constant push and drag on those wheels. So we know that by supporting from the top, meaning going into the header, that's the structural load of a property, of a building, etc. And we know that hopefully it's going to outlive us all, and we will then take into that load to make sure these panels should be moving effortlessly within the track. It should not feel tough or tight to move anything. You should be able to move the panels nicely every single time, and that's done by the design to be able to take the load from the underside of the header. Our system is about 6.5 pounds per square foot. So you take your width, multiply it by your height, all in feet, and then multiply the sum by 6.5, and that'll get you your load from post to post. So we will always provide you with the calculations for the poundage so you can ensure that the header there of what we're going to fasten to has enough meat to it so that we can drill inside and take that load and take that strength. So everything is supported from the underside of the header, and the system itself as well, being top hung, means that it's not susceptible to being lifted and pulled out of the track. So the tensile strength of the wheels are incredibly strong, meaning that when it's inside there, it's locked and secured. So you can feel safe, and we can feel good knowing that that system is supported perfectly and gonna run so you can enjoy it for many, many years to come. As you can see, in between the glass panels on my right side, you can see there is no weather strip in between the panels. On my left side, you can see there is a weather strip in between the two panels. What I'm doing is to show you why we use a weather strip to begin with. So when the panels close, you can see there is about 1/8 of an inch gap between the two panels. That is done by design so that when the panels close, you do not have glass hitting glass. But by code, we have to provide a seal so that no wind, air, moisture can penetrate through the system. So we have our translucent polycarbonate UV protected weather strip that seals on both the inside and the outside. So wherever you are standing, it's completely sealed. It dovetails in between the glass panels to create a very tight seal, again, on both the inside and the outside. These are very easy to take on and off. If you ever needed a replacement, you can certainly do so. But as I mentioned, they're UV protected. These are not the same piece that go on traditional shower doors. We extrude these ourselves specifically for our system, and they are going to last you so that way you are completely sealed when it rains or if you're hosing down your system. What some people do in the summer months is they elect to remove their weather strips so that they can have a little bit of a breeze coming through the panels without having to open the system. And then if you're going to be going out of town or if you know a storm is coming, then you can just pop those back on. At Coverglass, we not only do full floor to ceiling systems, but we do also quite a lot of kitchen pass-through installations or window type installations. What we do is we will essentially have our system, but on a smaller version. So it operates in the exact same fashion as our big system. You can see we would have the bottom track be flush in the counter material. So if you're entertaining and moving plates and foods and drinks, etc., there's nothing for this to hit or the plates and foods to interact with. And what a lot of people do is they'll actually extend their bar counter to the exterior and put bar stools, etc., and then you can entertain and then you can entertain with all your family and friends. So essentially it operates the exact same way. You have your system here, your panels. Everything can open and close, and then it seals completely. As your cover project is completely custom, you've got hundreds of colors to choose from as well as it relates to your tracks and side jams. You have many, many different color options for you. You can come in semi-gloss, matte, flat, full gloss. You can do different textures, etc. as well on your color for your tracks and side jams. It's completely aesthetically up to you. We custom make everything. We can even split colors in some areas. We work with a lot of homeowners associations where the outside of the building needs to be a certain color, the inside needs to be a certain color. There's no additional cost. It's purely just advising us aesthetically. And as I mentioned, if you would like the bottom track to be a certain color to match maybe your flooring, or if it's a counter height system to match your counter, and then you would like the sides and the top to be a different color to maybe match your drywall color or another window trim color, we can make it as custom as you'd like. One thing that's really important to note here at Coverglass is that we do everything ourselves. What that means is there's no subcontracting, there's no third-party certified people, there's nobody else who sells our system, there's nobody else who manufactures our system, so you're dealing directly with the source. We're not going to shift you off to anybody else. You'll be dealing directly with Coverglass employees, Coverglass staff, Coverglass installers throughout your entire project. It's also important to note that we are a family-run business. We take serious pride in our work. We take pride in customer care, making sure that you guys are satisfied, and we would love the opportunity to work with you and present our system as well. Thank you very much for joining me today for the presentation on our frameless doors. Please give us a call, drop us an email if you have any other questions or would like to meet, or if you would be open to doing a video presentation as well. We can certainly put that together. Thank you again, and hopefully we'll work together soon.